5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good afternoon, got it right. Good evening, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello. Yeah, one of those will apply to you wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die. This is the pick and mix, which is managed to squeeze in just before we have the kick-off tonight. Thank you for joining us. If you are joining us and you're live in the show, get your comments in. They will come up in the bottom corner. If you're watching on catch-up, you can still add your comments in. And if you are listening via your favourite podcast platform, and I apologise to anybody that's trying to get the latest shows up, I've got about 4 to put up, but the system at the moment is down. A bit like AI. Anyway, welcome along. You may have noticed something different about the show today. Yeah, you're quite right. We've got new artwork on the left. Also, Kate has cut her hair and grown a beard. Good afternoon, Kate.
How are you doing, Chris? Are you all right? My apologies, Kate's not here, everyone, but I'm going to be the stand-in today. So, I'm sorry it's not as much of a good look, more of a face for radio on this one today.
But I've got to say thank you very much to Tom, because Kate, this is a show obviously I do with Kate, but she is very busy at work, and in fact she does so much Leicester stuff. And I'm to be honest with you, I gave her a break. I'm not going to lie, I gave her a break on this, and really proud of how well she's got on. She knows her stuff, as we always say, but she does have a day job, unlike me, who's retired. So she's so busy at night, and then during the day she kind of nips on her lunch. And so unfortunately, this week she can't. She got promoted, so congratulations, and she's obviously a lot busier now. But Tom, the gentleman that you are, stood in at the last minute. Thank you very much. I don't know what you stood in, but check the bottom of your shoes afterwards. Look, we've got Wrexham tonight. The new boys.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one, this, Chris, isn't it? And it's a kind of a tricky game to follow up after West Brom, because they play a different shape to West Brom as well, which obviously is why we're going to be doing this pick and mix and looking at what team we might be able to play against that. So it's going to be a more difficult game than I think people appreciate this one tonight, mate.
I think so. I don't think I have to say that you can take any game for granted in this league.
No, definitely not. Because it's fine margins right now, isn't it? We did the review show last night, which I think was a great watch, guys. And everyone who watched it said we gave a lot of information there. But it was interesting to see the amount of teams having shots and very few on target for one. So it's very much, you've got to take your opportunities in this league, haven't you?
Oh, definitely. Do check that out. It's still on the top playlist, upcoming and recent shows. And it's the Championship review. We look at all the games and see how that affects Leicester. But it is very far. I mean, obviously, last season it was it was difficult to predict in the Premier League unless you were a Leicester fan. You just predicted loss. But you lived in hope. But this one, and if you look at how we are all doing, I don't think in the prediction league table there's a lot of Leicester City shows where the presenters are in it, so we've all come together, and yeah, none of us are doing particularly well. We're being beaten by a Yank, can you believe?
I know, they've got a great finger on the pulse, haven't they, Chris? I think we're close to it almost.
Yeah, if they were ahead of us rather than behind us, I'd say they've got a bit of an advantage, but that's Jeff, and he still can't do it. But yeah, congratulations to Nate. Won it last year, didn't win it, is top of the table so far this year. Look, this is interesting because we played only on Friday night. Whether that will give us an advantage or not, because obviously every other team played at some time on the Saturday. So what we've done here, we've actually gone, because we know that Marty likes 4-2-3-1. That's his favourite formation. And you know what the interesting thing is? I had my food delivered earlier. Mums go to Iceland, which is why I also go to Iceland, but I've never met an available one yet. But I do get on. There's a lot of them are football fans, and the guy that came this morning is a Chelsea fan.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
And he said to me, the first thing I opened the door when you were the first, not hello, how you doing? He went, "Do you want fucking Maresca back?"
Yeah, they've really fallen out with everyone. Well, it doesn't help Mourinho's there right now, so it's giving them that nostalgia of the past, isn't it? It's kind of like your ex-girlfriend being in the same pub as you, and you kind of go, "Oh yeah, we did get on quite well, really, didn't we?"
Yes, yeah, I know. He said that as well, and that's tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, big one for them, So it'll be interesting to see how they get on there. It's got draw written all over it, probably, with Chelsea.
But he said to me, he said, like, a lot of people are saying that he doesn't have a plan B, and I had to say to him, he didn't. We went from we were 17 points ahead a second at one point. We dropped down to just being 1 point ahead because he didn't have a plan B. We went through that sticky patch. And I said, no, I don't want him back because at the moment we have got a manager who does have a plan B. And he doesn't just do like-for-like substitutions. He actually makes substitutions when needed and changes the formation if needed. So we've actually got two formations today. The first one will be Marty's 4-3-2-1. And then the second one is a lineup of your choice.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking at their system and I'm going, I think, it's going to be a difficult system to play 4-2-3-1 against this one. Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily think he will. I think he'll still start with that because most 80% of managers are at the moment, but he may move on to that. There's a couple. No, I'm not going to lie here. There are a couple of ones in here that I'm going because you sent it me through last night, and I'm what?
Yeah.
So I think you might get a few comments.
Yes, controversial. Yeah.
At least controversial, if not worse. I'm just going to get this up on my other screen so I can see it in full size. Pick and mix. There we go. Right, let's bring you. I can't. No, I'm just not. You're going to upset quite a few people here, I think.
I might do, but I have got my reason behind it, and I will explain myself, and hopefully people can appreciate my reasons. Okay.
Look, it's all about opinions, isn't it? I don't have, guys. All I'm saying is nothing to do with me. All right, just know that I don't have any say in this.
They'll all be thinking, "Thank God, Tom's not Leicester manager."
Yeah, I'm going to say you're going to make Jim very happy.
Yeah,
and if Wayne is watching this on catch up, turn it off. Because you're going to be very upset. But here we go. Let's get this show on the road. So this is the 4-2-3-1 lineup. Now, look, shall we address the elephant in the room first of all? Because I have to say, it is the first one that is up there. And we were talking and trying to get our pronunciations right before we came live. But Vietes, we've decided, haven't we?
Yeah, we'll go with Vietes, I feel, yes.
Why is the question I'm going to ask you.
Well, I'll explain it this way. Jacob hasn't been terrible, not at all. I'm not suggesting that in the slightest, guys, so please put the knives away straight away. However, like we talked about on the review show last night, the league is a league of very fine margins. And I think really Jacob has been around a 5 or a 6 level, mostly a 6, maybe pushing a 7 sometimes. He seems to have certain games where he has 1 or 2 misplaced things that happen that don't help him out. Other times he's pulled some good saves. A good example would be the Coventry game. I thought the Coventry game, he was excellent. You think he kept them out. He made a really good save for a crowd of legs under pressure and managed to get it out. But other times we've seen little things here and there. And when we're dealing with fine margins, I kind of feel like if we could give this chap a run out tonight just to see what we got. We haven't got any cup games now, have we, until, January. No, so if we could get an injury or something, then he'll probably end up getting chucked in or we go for Begovic, right? But I'd like to see what this guy's got to offer, because as a raw talent, there's something interesting about him. And I kind of wonder if the system we're playing, he's going to be more of a suited goalkeeper for that system, perhaps. So I'd just like to see it tonight. I understand. Look, I'm not going to lose any sleep if Jacob's in. I won't be angry if Jacob's in. I'll be actually fine with it because I think he's very capable. But once again, it's fine margins. And I kind of feel if he's a 7 to an 8 performing level every game, then we might be on to a bit more of a winner, perhaps. So that's why I'd say tonight, why not mix it up a little bit?
I play devil's advocate in all these shows. That's my role. It's in my contract. You must play devil's advocate and disagree with Tom at every opportunity. But can I say 2 words to you?
Yes.
They're not the 2 that you think are coming either.
I thought it was going to be the little girl meme with the finger in the car.
Yeah, that's the point. No, 2 words are Danny Ward.
Yes.
Because basing on what you've just said, and I was saying, Danny Ward, and all right, we know he had a shit defence in front of him. The whole team was shit at that time, let's be honest. But he did not have any Premier League games until he started last season. I think he had the last game, which I think we lost to Blackburn or whatever it was. But he hadn't had, any. He'd been here years, and let's be honest with you, he was a good number 2.
Yep.
Because he was great with penalties in cup shootouts, wasn't he? But we had a goalkeeper in Kasper Schmeichel who, unless he got run over, was never not going to be picked to play. No. And he was never injured, Schmeichel. No.
And he was always, Chris, he was always a 7 or an 8 minimum, right?
Yeah, no, he was, and we love him, etc., etc. So when you finally brought Danny Ward in, he was like a rabbit in headlights.
He was, and also his positioning was pretty dreadful. Do you remember every time Tottenham had a shot at him from 30 yards, he was always in such a terrible bit of positioning that they were just flying past him. And I'll say sometimes with Jacob, there was a chance in the West Brom game. I don't have a problem with the goal he conceded in the West Brom game. I think he did the best he could, and actually he tried to play chicken with the player, and if he could have reached it on another day, and it was a good move from him. There was a shot later on about the 50th minute where I felt his positioning was really bad. He nearly got himself in trouble. It's stuff like that worries me. Similar, ironically, to Danny Ward. I'm not saying he's nowhere near as bad as Danny Ward, No. But I'm just saying there's enough there for me when we're talking fine margins between, 1 goal making a difference between 1 point and 3 points, that I would just like to see what this guy's got to offer, I
get it. No, I do totally get it. And like I say, I think we should learn from Danny Ward that by not using a player, that when you do put them in, and look, years, and I'm going to show me age here, and I think it should be brought back. That's reserve football. There should be reserve team, and he said reverse team. Then that was how we played under Rude. There should be a reserve game at league with reserve teams, because you've got your squad of 35, 38, whatever it is. And yes, you can include a couple of those in the under-21s, but that's a huge gap from the under-21s, and let's say most players aren't getting into the first team at Leicester till the 25, something like that. Yes, there's the odd exception, I know. That's a big gap to only play an odd game now and again with the under-21s.
Or to go out on loan and then try and get used to another team and then come back and fit in.
Exactly. So, if we had a reserve team, I've been told I've got to look at my nose here. Vietes would probably be playing every game in the reserve team,
Yes.
And it also was a great way of getting players back to fitness.
100%, mate. Yeah.
None of this bringing them on for 10 minutes here and 20 minutes there, and all right, sometimes it works, but also you're disrupting players and the team if they're doing well. But you could introduce them, but that very much annoys me. So yes, I can actually see what you're saying here. Plus, when I was talking yesterday when we did the review, actually the full review of the Leicester match, and I'm just looking down my notes here. Because believe it or not, guys, I do make notes.
You did throw them in the bin this time, yeah.
Well, yes. No, the problem was I put them in the bin and then I'd emptied the bin.
Brilliant.
But no, Jakob only got a 6.
Yeah, and this is my point.
Yeah, he was pushing that 6. So I think there'd have been some 5.5s if I allowed halves, which I don't. But
yeah.
So, and I was looking at another Leicester channel earlier, and I was watching a clip. They do like the highlights of the watch along. Hello, Luke, if you're watching, by the way. Tell you what, if you got a swear jar, bloody hell, it must be full by now. What you said, but they weren't having a go at Stolarczyk, but they were questioning him, let's say. And I think it's going to be a case, like when Mahrez left, how long we took to get somebody like until we got Fatawu that we actually said, yeah, good, let's go for it. I think that's the same with goalkeepers.
Yes.
Because when you've had somebody like Schmeichel,
world class.
Exactly. When Banks left, we had Shilton. When Shilton left, we had Mark Wallington, who, had he been at another club, would have probably played more internationally. But no, I actually agree with you. And I'm just looking here at his stats. Goals against him is 0.8 per game. So, okay. But again, you've got to think about what defence is in front of him. His save percentage is over 50%.
Good.
And his clean sheet percentage is 37.5%.
Yeah. So it's not bad, is it, as a starting point?
No.
I just think also he's more of a sweeper keeper naturally. And I think if we're going to play this system, the reason Faes and Vestergaard are both started is because he wants players who are good on the ball at centre-back. Otherwise, because Cody's not so composed on the ball, right? And so if that's the idea, I don't see the harm in giving this guy a go to see what he's got. And being Portuguese as well, I'm not trying to make a bit of an assumption. I think if a ball comes into the box, it's a bit dangerous. He's more than likely just to punch it out of the way and get rid of it rather than be too defensive and causes a problem like we had against Oxford for one.
Yeah, and the other problem we were saying with Stolarczyk, and look, we're not saying we should be dropped for the rest of the season.
No, not at all. No.
And this guy, I think, is carrying an injury, so it depends how fit he is. But with Stolarczyk, when he does make a save, he's got to stop putting the ball back into the box in front of him.
The danger zone, exactly, yeah. And that's it, isn't it? I mean, I would also, Chris, I wouldn't be against the idea of Begovic either. I mean, the thing with Begovic is I kind of feel like he can come in at any time with his experience and probably put in a 7 out of 10 performance because he's got that experience and he's helping the coaching of it as well. I think for Jakob, the problem, the slight issue I have is that it's not staying really the same. It's kind of like this, but it's always in the middle. I'm not seeing this or, And that's what I want. I want to see more like, it's getting better and he's growing with it. And with that in mind, I just think because of the style of goalkeeper they are, it's worth having a look if he is fit now because he's been there for a month to get used to everyone as well.
Like you say, and I agreed, if we don't give him the chance, we're going to end up with the Danny Ward situation where he's going to come in and have absolutely no sort of who are you? I'm taking it to extreme, but you know what I mean. You've got to get used to playing. Armchair, hello, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. I don't think Pearson ever paid for a keeper. I don't think he did because he came in when Schmeichel was here.
That's right. Schmeichel was bought by Sven, wasn't he?
Well, he was. Yes, one of the. I liked Sven.
No, wasn't it nice? Actually, Jill, when you look back at that year, don't you kind of feel a bit romantic about it? People like Yuki Abe, Sol Bamba coming in. Yeah. I mean, they were really nice. I loved those players. Yeah,
I think he took us from in trouble one season to almost in the playoffs, and in the next season we were 11th when we sacked him. And I don't know if you've seen the documentary about his last year. I mean, I was in tears. Yeah, what a nice gentleman, and I only met him the once after a game. And it was a night game, and he'd got obviously. I mean, getting him, there was all the TV cameras there because he'd been ex-England manager and what have you. And it was a coup to get him. We didn't realise how easy it was to get him when you look at some of the jobs he had. But at that point, it was a coup to get him. And by the time he came out, it was like midnight. It was ridiculous. And you know what? He still had time for everybody.
It's wonderful, isn't it? Do you know what's interesting about the Sven here? I go back to those Man City FA Cup games we had, just quickly, Chris. And I go, he was funny, really, because he set up a team that probably would have been all right in the Premier League to have a bit of a go. But for some reason, it wasn't the team you want to be playing in the Championship. Do you see what I mean? Because we actually handled Man City, who were very good at that time, relatively well.
Yeah. I must admit, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but one of my... Look, can you see Sven's picture there?
Oh, yes, I can see it. Yeah, beautiful.
A signed picture.
Lovely.
Whoops, let me. One of my the pictures that I love, that one. All right, Ben.
It's better than my Mickey Adams one I got signed.
Well, I've also got a he didn't sign it. Nor did Gascoigne. I've got a Jeff Hurst one.
Lovely. Chris, let's get back to the thing. We're distracted. We're taken away from this now, aren't we? I'm going off on the tap.
I've got a Stan Collymore one as well.
Lovely. We'll do a memorabilia night one night with everyone in the chat.
I'm going to just say this is my favourite one. I've got a Banks signature, Gordon Banks, but my favourite one is Keith Weller.
Oh, of course, with the tights.
Yes. Anyway, moving on. Berkovic is too old. I've got to say, Armchair, that was kind of my feelings about him. But for the odd game, this was what I said about Berkovic when we signed him was, it's great because I don't think we have got a goalkeeping coach at the moment. So he will, I think, hopefully at the end of the season, he will take that over. He's probably doing his coaching badges now. And, he's come in and he said, I'm going to give my experience to, the youngsters, and what have you, Bowser. And I said, if he had to come in for one game or two, because Stolarczyk had got a foot injury or a hand injury, I'd feel okay. But having him in goal for, let's say, Stolarczyk got an ACL, would I want him in goal for the whole rest of the season? No, I don't know. So, yes, I think
why we're looking at Trafford perhaps on loan from Man City, maybe.
Yeah, I don't get. Well, yes, we will see. We'll see what happens in January, and whether we get that points deduction or not. Right, let's move on. I think we've done Stolarczyk and Vietes. You hardly said his name. Just say it once to see if you can get it right.
Vietes, is that right?
Vietes. Well done. Both of us need notes.
You know what the internet's like nowadays, Chris? We'll get slammed.
Probably. Right, look, the back line. You've gone pretty much for Thomas, Faes, Vestergaard, and I think I've got Vestergaard and Faes the wrong way round, so do forgive me for that, but basically they interchange, don't they? Pretty much picks itself. I would say with those, yes, look, you know my thoughts about Faes, but I think he's done all right this season. And to in a way, he's the nearest thing we've got to a Soyuncu or a Harry Maguire.
Yes.
And I love Harry Maguire to bits because he did us a favour when he left, and that's why we got 80 million for him. Other than something that Tielemans didn't do. But I loved him when he played for us, and what he used to do. And look, he got into the England squad, didn't he? When he was at Leicester. But he'd take the ball, he'd suddenly get the ball, and this was a bit of space in front of him. And this was before we obviously started doing all this stupid, playing out from the back and all that. But he'd just run with it. He'd get the ball and he'd go. And Soyuncu did that. And Faes is the nearest thing we've got to that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, and like I say, we've got to think what players suit the formation, right? I mean, I think Faes and Vestergaard are in for that reason because they're both the two technically most sound defenders we have, irrelevant what people's feelings are on them, right? And like you say, Faes adds a lot more in bringing the ball forward as a ball-playing defender, which is very helpful when you're trying to cover a lot of ground in this division. So yeah, no, I think they've got to play in this one. I think Thomas, to be fair, at the left-back position as well. I mean, Christensen to me looks like he's still a bit banged up, obviously wearing all that face mask and all the rest of it. So it was kind of a decision where I'm kind of like, well, it's not hurting for Thomas, is it? And I think, he's in a similar place to Jacob, though. I think he's a 6 to a 7 at his best, but he could probably still improve himself. But with tonight's game, I wonder if he's going to have to be the attacking option because Ricardo might not start due to fitness, right?
Yes, yeah. Well, that is another big point I want to talk to you about. Now, Faes and Vestergaard, I think that, and it's interesting to see. First game after the transfer window closed, Akoli out, Faes in.
Yeah,
and
fascinating.
Honestly, that was so obvious that Marty was going, all right, you got to play with us now. Go and show us, Same with Winks, in fairness. Same with Winks. Could see Nelson started tonight. That is a good shout.
I thought about that. That's a very good shout, Armchair. I did think about it. And actually, I wouldn't be against it if we put him in tonight, to be honest, Chris.
Again, he's got to get the time. The thing is that with Akoli not starting, well, I don't know when Akoli didn't start. Faes was always on the bench. Nelson hasn't been turning up on the bench of recent, has he? And,
no, that's interesting, yeah.
And it's a bit like, again, we dropped these players. Yes, he didn't have a very good game against Huddersfield, but let's be honest with you, who did? Needs some height and someone who can jump. I've got to say, good point. I want to go back to Thomas then. Yes, let's get, at least if he's not starting, let's get Nelson on the bench tonight.
Yeah.
Thomas, now, I like Thomas.
Yep.
Probably slightly more than I like Christensen.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 on both of them. But
yeah. Christensen, nobody seems to like Christensen. Oh, he doesn't get blah, blah, blah. We were talking about this, like I say, on the review show. And Thomas, he's more defensive. He very rarely gets over that halfway line. Yeah. Now, I know last season, none of them got over the halfway line. That was the problem, Right. Rude kind of said, that white line, thou shalt not pass. But when Christensen actually did get the ball and did overlap, well, it wasn't Mavididi, was it? But overlap, say, Mavididi, there was nobody for him to cross the ball into.
No, exactly.
There was no other fucking Leicester player in the box. Thomas doesn't go past Mavididi. He doesn't. Ricardo and Fatawu work very well together. You've got Ricardo going up, Fatawu kind of drops back a little bit and does his defensive bit, which, he does. Mavididi used to do that in the Championship. He would come back and defend, but Thomas doesn't go past him.
It depends on the system.
Well, yeah, but with this system, when we're looking at attacking sides and when we're looking at shot sides, it's 2/3 on the right. So basically, Wrexham will be looking at that. Phil Parkinson will be looking at that tonight and going, okay, let's just put everybody over on the right-hand side because they ain't going to do anything on the left. Do you know what I'm saying? It's becoming very predictable. So I would actually probably say if Christensen is fit, and look, yes, he did have that mask on, but look, Petr Cech played for how long in goal with a protective headgear on, and that's obviously more risky. So I'd possibly start Christensen tonight. Look, I love Ricardo.
Yes, as we all do.
Yes, yeah. And I've been saying he's on, well, he was on 75. He might be on a bit less now. We've got relegated. But on that sort of money, he should be starting.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to say you've got it spot on here because Chowdhury... I still want to see Chowdhury in the defensive midfield role, to be honest with you. But, no, I'm not having that armchair. Get out, go on, sit on the naughty step. Go on, naughty step now, armchair.
I'm not against armchair's thought process here. Here's the interesting thing.
Well, you go out as well, Tom. You go out as well.
Do you know what's interesting about this? We're kind of forced into a difficult position tonight, and I actually expect Ricardo will start at right back, irrelevant of minutes and all the rest of it, of managing legs. But I will say, Hamza obviously had that cameo against Coventry where he came off the bench and didn't shine himself in glory. No. It wasn't his best hour, was it? But before then, when he was starting at right back and Thomas was doing the overlapping like Ricardo's been doing, which means we swapped the side of it. That worked fine for me. I think it was okay. Actually, we won those games. A lot of them. Sheffield Wednesday for one, didn't we? We won. We haven't been doing that recently. But the challenge we got in this one as well is we're kind of, I think, maybe pigeonholed tonight to playing Ricardo, maybe, because if Thomas comes forward, that opens up a lot of space for Kabore, their fullback, who is very quick. He's frimpong quick. And he could be very dangerous. So I think it's a difficult decision tonight what we do, but I would lean towards going with Thomas and Chowdhury just to try and be a little bit more defensively solid, and then Ricardo coming on second half to do the effect he had in the games like Oxford, for example, where he came off and
I agree. And I'm sorry, Armchair. I think when you've got two left backs, I would sooner have a left back that can play, let's say, at 75%. Then you've got a right back that maybe can play at 90%. As a right back, shift him over to the left. And then, you've got a player that's probably worse on the left because he's obviously not naturally a right back. Look, square pegs, square holes for me. Wilder watching us not playing Hamza. You know what? A lot of Sheffield United fans that I've spoken to, I say a lot, a couple of Sheffield United fans said that had Hamza not got injured, that they would have probably finished in the top 2 last season.
Yeah, he was the best right back the second half of the season, Chris. I'm sorry he was. But he's a bit of an enigma because he's not really a right back. I'd say he's a wide centre back because, that's that defensive midfielder kind of thing as well, right? Isn't it?
I would, yeah. I mean, if we didn't have Winks and James, which we'll come on to in a second, that's where I would like to see him.
I do disagree with you about defensive midfield, though, because I think he's played there for a long time and he's happened to come off a superb year with Sheffield United where he was at right back position. And I think in defensive midfield, he can be a bomb scare at times. He can be a little bit, when he gets under pressure, he makes mistakes and starts getting bookings and losing his head. So I think he looks more assured as a back line.
No, I get that. And, we've now got James. But when you're looking about Sumare, I thought he had a fairly decent game, and I gave him man of the match, as you know, against West Brom. Never do that again, but he did. I thought it was probably one of his better games in the Leicester shirt. But if you look talking Chowdhury or Sumare, then Chowdhury, because Chowdhury can run, Sumare jogs, But in this formation and players we've now got available, I agree, Chowdhury at right back, because Ricardo is that little bit older. He is, he can't, like we always said about Vardy, well, he couldn't play, midweek, weekend, but he started every single game. But you could see it wasn't the Vardy of old. And, I think we do know that Ricardo is a little bit of a sick note.
Yeah, we're a bit worried about it.
Yeah, so why risk playing him 2 games so close together?
And we're also,
options.
And we're not seeing a Luco on the bench very much, are we? And I'd go, well, that means we're going, these are our 2 right backs. So if one of them gets injured, which with Ricardo, the chance is probably higher, I think that is going to upset a lot of Leicester fans. And it'll have to be Hamza every game, which a lot of people might not even like now either. So we have got to be appreciative and try and manage his minutes sports science-wise. And I think he'll still get involved in this. And I think he's actually very good coming off the bench as well. But he is. He's made a positive...
He is. But... I agree with you, and I've been saying he should be starting as soon as he was fit to get him in the team, which Marty did. But I'm also, and I said last week, he's not going to start, in my opinion, both these games. But there we go. Middle 2, then the 2 defensive midfielders. You've got Winks and James. Again, agree 100% with you. Winks, very much like Faze, his head was all over the place. We saw his attitude at Huddersfield. But when he was brought on as a sub, which was mainly used as, like Val, he really did prove how good he was, because he changed the face of the games. And again, when he starts, compared to Skip, compared to Sumare, he's got to be the first choice in there. And James, that's his position. Yeah. He is, to me, the nearest thing we've got to KDH since KDH left. We need a box-to-box. Like I've said, Sumare should be that man, but Sumare isn't that man. He has difficulty going from box to box in Aldi, so he can't go box to box on a football pitch. James can. We know what he can do, So I think you've got those two spot on, mate.
Yeah, I think it's difficult when Samari did have a decent go of it last time, and I think it was one of his better performances. But I'm still going to be that guy who goes, I don't think it's actually been good enough in spite of that, really. I think because in the first half he wasn't particularly on it. It took a half-time team talk, and it's kind of like, I say with him, it's kind of like you have to be on him all the time. He's that naughty kid at the back of the classroom. It's very intelligent, really, but he's not putting it into any practicality, and you're constantly on him as a teacher to get anything from him. And I'm just a bit tired of it, especially when you see when James was starting, even in that attacking midfield role, he was advancing the ball so much quicker, carrying the ball in his possession so much quicker, better range of passing. I think this is the long-term aim. When Ramsey's back, he'll be going into attacking mid. So let's get on with it now and just go, Booba, you're on the bench for the moment, my friend.
I'm finding this show very, very hard because I'm agreeing with you so much. I think the only one I've possibly disagreed with you was Thomas, but that wasn't really a disagreement. Again, like you with the goalkeeper.
We've got a second formation coming up, yeah?
We have. But, with the goalkeeper, I agreed and saw where you were coming from and agreed because we need to give him time. I would not be upset if Thomas started, to be honest with you, but I just think let's give Christian's son a go. And we're not trying to put Wrexham down here, but it is the easier game than West Brom, or it should be.
In theory, yes. It's a different game.
Yeah. Thing is, what worries me is I think that Samari will be the hill that Marti dies on.
Which is ridiculous because he's out of contract at the end of the season, so he's going to walk no matter what he does. So there's no point really overly investing. I know people say he's on big money and all the rest of it, but I say it's about Winks. I know Winks is going through a purple patch right now. People really like him. I still would like us come January to think of a solution now, ready for next season, because he's not going to be here.
Yes, no, totally.
We're going to have to completely rebuild the centre midfield probably in January.
Yeah, or failing that at the end of the season, depending on how we sit financially. But but he likes it. There's something about Samari he likes. Nobody else can see it, but no, I agree with you. Drop Samari, Winks and James in there. Square pegs, square holes again with James. Okay, the next three. Jim is at the moment typing a very strongly worded email to you because you've kept him on the pitch, but you've dropped down. Now, I'm going to say to you, we'll talk AU first, and this is we can talk him and Carranza together because they kind of go together, don't they?
Yeah.
And Carranza, all right, did he dive, didn't he dive? Looking back at it with slow motion and what have you, it probably wasn't a dive.
It was a yellow card the other way.
Yeah, and I can speak. You can't unfortunately query those, can you? But I can see why the referee gave it.
Yeah. It was getting a bit heated and a bit bouncy in there, wasn't it, between them? Yeah.
Referee didn't have the best. Well, I thought he had an okay game, but he didn't have a good game. He had an okay game, which is all you can hope for, I think, these days with referees. AU. Yes, that's what I want. That's what Kate wanted to see last week. That's what I want to see. Carranza's another one. Like Kate said, we've got him for 40 matches. How can we decide if we want to keep him at the end if we don't see what he's like? Do you remember when we signed Iheanacho?
Yes.
I remember saying, I used to work with a lady called Julie, who was a huge Manchester City fan. I mean, she lived in Bournemouth and she had a Manchester City season ticket.
Oh wow!
I mean, she travelled up and down, and when she went abroad, she absolutely was Mrs. City, or Manchester, if you like. But she was so sad that Iheanacho left.
Yeah.
And when we signed Iheanacho, because he was doing all right in most people do all right in the City team, don't they? It's hard not to be all right unless you call Jack Grealish. I thought, wow, I said, I'm really looking forward to next season. Vardy and Iheanacho together as a front two, they're going to rip that league apart. Oh no, we never once played them together until a few years later. No. And maybe if we had, Iheanacho might have been a different player.
Yeah.
I know we bought him, we didn't loan him, but he may have been a better player. Or we may have discovered his strengths and weaknesses. Bringing a player on for 10 minutes at the end of the game does not work. You cannot tell. If you're going to put them on, at least put them on for 45 minutes minimum if you want to see what they can do. Look, the season that Vardy was injured and Iheanacho had to stand up, he was our top goal scorer.
Yeah, he was. He was on a run of games, wasn't he? He didn't get dropped. As soon as we dropped him, he was never the same.
No. And you know what? We wouldn't have won the FA Cup if it wouldn't have been for him.
No, he was in the... Yeah, he got us through it.
So, Carranza... And I do. Armchair says, don't think Samari has 90 minutes in him. He's your sub. I agree.
Yeah. He's definitely a sub. He can come on and do a job for 20 minutes. I'm not going to say he can't.
Yeah. So Carranza he's got to get used to English football, but like you say, he's been here a month now, hasn't he?
Yeah, and also you've got to look, we're playing a back three tonight, Chris, with Carranza, and he's the most physical player we got. If you were to put Ayew up there, and people have been moaning about this, haven't they, with Ayew, because he's a defensive forward, which means we're relying on Mavrodidi and Fatu to get goals, and when they don't get goals, then everyone's up in arms, aren't they? I mean, Ayew is still going to cover the most ground in this team. The things he's good at, and people get annoyed at it as well, he wins free kicks. Winning free kicks in this part of the pitch can be very helpful, as long as you have someone who can take them. All these things add up. James can take a free kick. So I'd like to see him there, because he can link up the play quite well. And Mavrodidi is kind of a good comparison to Iheanacho, because I know people have said Mavrodidi's not been great recently. I kind of see a player there that is struggling for a little bit of confidence, but I don't think the answer is to drop him over. I think it's to encourage him, because he does care and he's really running hard and trying.
Yeah.
You know,
we'll come on to Mavrodidi in a second, but I agree.
Ahead.
Yeah, not a problem, mate. So, I mean, when I put a heat map up, not against the Coventry game, it was Coventry we played before West Brom, wasn't it? And his heat map was all over the place. And when I was watching the watch-along, he actually was getting his head on a couple of corners coming in to head them away, which is great, but he's your striker.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I said at the start of the season that I could see Ayew being a very important player for us, and he would lead our line, subject to us bringing somebody else in.
Yes,
if it's him or Daka or I can't forget the young guy's name, Evans, then Ayew's who's the one. Totally, he's there to get you free kicks, and he's there to hold the ball up. Yep. And again, my thought with him being the striker was that at the time, that if he could hold the ball up, you've got Mavrodidi, Fatu, and then El Khanous coming forward, who can take it. But look, Palace fan said, I said, what the hell have we bought this guy for? He said, you know what? He'll get you free kicks in important positions. He'll hold the ball up if you're sort of holding on or something. And the first thing he did when he came on as a sub last season, went down, got us a free kick, literally with his first touch. Yeah. However, I'm going to argue with you here.
Okay.
I can see why. Again, look, don't get me wrong. That's the front two, if you like, or 1.5, however you want to describe it. I see that. I get that. But I want to see Louis Page back.
Oh, yes. No, that's a good point, Chris. That is a good point. I mean, the problem with Louis Page is I'm not sure he's actually going to be the attacking midfield centre option where Ayew plays. We put him there against Charlton, and I think in the first half he looked a little bit like he couldn't quite get up to speed with it, because it's not his natural position. He's more of a box-to-box, isn't he? So I think if you put him in, it's got to be over James, and James goes into that attacking mid then. But I think Ayew will probably be more effective with what he offers there than even James was, to be honest.
I think with Louis, I think he said Louis Walsh then, but hell.
I keep saying Lewis by mistake. If I do say Lewis, I apologise. Louis, isn't it? Louis Page, I apologise.
Louis Page, yeah. Can you imagine Louis Walsh in there? At least you know what his goal musical. Yeah, you know what his goal celebration would be like. But that is true. It's true. But no, for me, he's still young, Louis Page. Yeah. Again, let's not, when you look at that, how many of these youngsters that we all wanted to see this season, and I said if we got a transfer ban, it wouldn't be the worst because we've got all these young players coming through. Apart from Thomas, there's not one academy player in there. Oh, Chowdhury as well, I guess. But they're all, you can't really say, they came through the academy, but they're not, they're not the youngsters that the others were. Not one youngster in there at the moment. And that, look, again, to me, if you don't give them game time, And I think this was the problem with Alves and Braybrook. They went away, and Alves has got injured again. He's having an operation on his foot.
Oh, that's not good. That's bad. That's the second one now, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, I think that we might be seeing the end of his career, to be honest with you.
He already spent a year on the sidelines, didn't he, bless him?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I think that was an ACL, wasn't it? But,
it was.
But let's give these youngsters a chance and let's do it. Again, AU, look, if we're resting Ricardo, shouldn't we be resting AU as well?
Maybe, yeah. And also, Chris, you raise a good point because Marti did play Page in that role, didn't he? So actually, you talking about it has put it in my head that if there was to be a bit of a surprise in a team selection tonight, it might be Page in there. You might very well be right, mate.
Yeah, I personally think it'll be Page with AU up front, but I'd like to see Page with Carranza. And the thing with Carranza as well is when you've got Fatawu and Mavididi going down the wings, if they can get the crosses in, you've got a big bugger in the box that we haven't had because AU's not exactly, good with headers and what have you, is he? Look, Fatawu, we don't need to talk about Fatawu. He's obviously You said something about Mavididi earlier, and I thought he had an excellent game against West Brom.
I think he did a lot better than the game before, put it that way.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's what you can compare. You can only compare it against. I mean, even forgetting the miss, and I think putting him in that team was the right thing to do.
Yeah, he made better decisions in the last game, which is what we were asking for from the week before, wasn't it? And he didn't score, we didn't get but he made better decisions, definitely. He did.
And the thing is, when you've made a mistake like that and you are dropped, you then start thinking, this manager hasn't got any faith in me.
I couldn't have dropped him looking at the way he was handling it. He looked frustrated with himself. I don't think it's different depending on the scenario, right? When Winks is getting arsey with fans, there's a reason to drop him after that, right? But I think when Mavrididi's looking like the world's against him, but he really wants to do well, and he's getting frustrated with himself, I think that's different.
Yes.
Because he wants to play.
So, I think you're right. I think Marty was right last game. Kate actually went Monga for the last game, although I did put Mavididi up in error, much to her annoyance. But I went Mavididi for the last game because I think, even if you take him off after 40 minutes, you're showing faith in the player, so again, for me, Mavididi starts. I haven't been impressed when Monga started.
No, and he's also might have a knock as well, Chris, don't forget. So I didn't really include him for that reason.
No, you're quite right. He's got a knock as well. Took it in the last game. He was hobbling off, wasn't he? So, for me, Mavididi starts, and if he is fit enough, or just bring him on for the last 20 minutes. That's when Monga works best. Mavididi absolutely knackers the defence out, in my eyes. Monga comes on and rips them off a good one. Hi, Michael. How you doing? Big match today, he says. One to watch for Wrexham is Isa Kabore. 2 matches played for them. 5 chances created. 3 assists. Right wing back.
The one I wanted to sign for Man City because we need a backup right back, don't we? I really wanted us to go for him, but obviously money, right?
Yeah, exactly. So he's up against Thomas.
Yes, which is interesting because it kind of proves the thing about us saying we might have to start Ricardo because if we're going to have one of these players advance, so you say you want Thomas to stay back to keep an eye on Kabore because if we let him in, he's going to be dangerous, right?
Or do you bring Christensen in?
Maybe, but he's a bit more like that as well. This could be what's interesting to see what Marty's going to do, Chris, on this one.
The best. I've always said the best form of defence is attack.
Very true. Yeah.
And if you were worried about Kabore coming forward, then let Mavididi at him. Let Mavididi get forward. Keep him busy. Because if you've got to keep an eye on Mavididi, he isn't going to be able to get down the street. And if Mavididi's not there, get Christensen going up. Because what we said with Thomas, he's not very good at overlapping. Get Christensen going up and keeping Kabore busy as well. Not Hamza Armchair.
I don't disagree. No, I think Armchair has got a point. I mean, the problem is at left back, it's kind of the wrong side for him. But I get the point of why he's saying Hamza because Hamza will crunch him, and that's the point.
Right, I'm muting you now, Tom. I'm sorry, you're not saying. You're back, mate. You're back. All I can say to you and to Armchair.
Well, I don't believe it.
I'm sorry, round pegs, round holes. That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, again, I think you've got a good team there. I've only disagreed with two of you. If that is AU and Thomas, yeah, I'm not going to be disappointed. I personally think it'll be Thomas, James for AU, and AU for Carranza to start.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the interesting about this, obviously we lead into the next section in a minute, is this is probably not the best formation to play against this team, because teams that have played this against Wrexham have found it a little bit difficult, because they're going to have three at the back. That's why I went for Carranza rather than maybe even considering Daka, because if you're going to have three big centre-backs there, you want someone who's at least got some physicality to try and make that difficult for them, but I still think they'll be quite comfortable against one forward. I do believe we need to find a way to play two forwards in this to go against three, because that means Mavididi and Fatu then will have more space. And the frustration from Leicester fans in the last game was seeing Fatu and Mavididi get doubled up on, right, by West Brom, which stopped their threat completely, which stopped our goal scoring threat. And my concern is with their formation, that could be what we face tonight, especially if Kabore is more back and the other wing back as well. So
I saw, and I may have heard this. I thought I'd heard somewhere that they played 4-4-2 because somebody had said, "Oh, not many." They do sometimes these days, yeah. But I've just asked my friend AI, lovely little Chinese lady that's here with me. Wrexham have most often lined up in a 3-5-2 formation. So before we get to what you'd like to do, let's just compare details. We'll do this again tonight in the watch along. But again, my little friend AI. She's there with me. 52% probability that Leicester are going to win this.
Yeah.
Look, yes, yeah, it's a bit like 21% Wrexham. Potential banana skin incoming. The last 5 games, we've drawn the last 3, won the 2 before that. Wrexham, it's been a bit of a mixed bag for them. 1 drawn, 1 last week drawn, lost, 1 drawn. We can't show the last 5 games because we've only played 3, but the last 3 home games for Leicester, we've not lost. Drawn, 1 and 1. Maybe we're getting a little bit of a Fortress King power. Wrexham's last 3 aways, though, has been win, loss. When you're looking at the way that the teams play, we are obviously a little bit more defensive, although our attack isn't too bad at all. Where Wrexham are a lot higher than us on the attack. Obviously, the red one is, where you've whoever's top in that particular thing. So they are. We've got to watch it. Goals scored. They've scored more than us, but we've conceded over half the goals that they have. XG. I mean, look, it's not often, after last season that we look at it, and Leicester's got a better XG than the opposition. But we're 1.74, they're 0.81. We've had 3 clean sheets, which is 1 more than Rude had, and I'll keep saying this, 1 more than Rude had in his entire tenure as Leicester manager. Wrexham have only had 1. Look, you can see Wrexham are down in 16th, we're in 5th. Team rating, though, interestingly, courtesy to Foot Mob. They've got Wrexham, not doing well. Sorry, in this they've got them doing well. 6.95 team rating, average. Ours is 6.9. I don't think this is going to be the easy game that the 52% win probability is leading us towards.
No, the only way it's going to be, I can't quite see the chat, my screen's a bit small, but it's going to be a case of if Abdul has one of those games where he comes out and can cut inside and score a worldie or something like that, because we need to get into those gaps between the complete wing backs and that centre back to the near side of them. If we can manage that, then we could actually maybe get a couple of goals and make it quite comfortable then. But my concern is we've been struggling to do that against teams with 4 at the back. So, against 5, it makes you wonder, well, isn't that going to to be twice as bad, maybe. But hopefully the quality of
Good
Fatu
point.
in particular will shine through, because let's be real, Chris, the quality they have on players, they've got one or two players and you think, okay, they're pretty decent players, but the rest of them you go, they're probably not the best championship quality players. It's just the system that's making the difference here, right, by having more players back.
Well, interestingly, a bit of a discussion going on in the chat there. Armchair says Parkinson will be under pressure in this game. A loss tonight and on Friday to Birmingham could see him gone.
Good,
Michael though says he's not expected to win these two. He will not. He will last until the new year minimum. Only way he goes if they are in relegation battle after the new year. I'd heard that there was a little bit of a pressure on Parkinson. I had heard that. But look, I think he's got the players behind him.
Yes,
you know,
I do.
He's been with this team since they were non-league.
Yeah.
You know, so, and he's brought them up from non-league. He's got the experience. You know, he was at Hull and what have you, took them to the Premier League. I think he's probably under more pressure with the fans and the owners. I think the owners will look at that and go, yeah, okay, we know Ipswich did it, but come on, you know, if we can stop mid-table, we'd be happy with that. So I don't think, you know, Reynolds and whoever the other McGonaghy will put him under pressure. But I think the fans are expecting more. That's the difference.
Them and Birmingham are in the same spot, aren't they, Chris? I think Chris Davis is under a bit of pressure now, But he went away to Norwich and they got a good win away at Norwich, didn't they? And they looked very good. I mean, it shows his ideas aren't wrong. Let's put it that way.
No. Now, I'm just looking here at your prediction. You've gone 2-1 to Wrexham.
I have, because it's a tactical one, Chris, because I'm the only one who's gone for a Wrexham win and I'm near the bottom of the prediction league. I actually don't think that's going to be the score, but I've done it as a bit of a dodgy one to try and get me some points in the prediction league.
Can I say, actually, in fairness, last season, I was the same. I just thought, fuck this, I'm predicting a Leicester loss.
But I backed Wrexham and I backed Oxford the other week, didn't I? I got them both right and no one else did, so I got myself bonus points there. So I've got to be tactical a bit. I actually think Jim's right. I think we'll win this 2-1, but...
Yeah, no, I mean, it's fair enough. But yeah, like, you know, you do last season, I was like, you know, look, there we go. You know, it's still going to support us. We lost, but... Yeah. I'm going to say we're going to win again next week. This is the winnable game. We lost. After about 4 or 5 times, you're thinking, fuck this. I need the points in the prediction league, as you say. Michael agrees with me. I like the cut of that man's jib, I'll tell you. Agree, Chris. I think 80 to 90% of the fan base wants Parky around. He has lost 10 home matches in over 4 years. You know, yeah. Let's go on to this then, because this is. Before we come on to that, I had a bit of premature slide moving then, because I went as well as Jim 2-1 to Wrexham.
To Leicester, you mean?
To Leicester, sorry, 2-1 to Leicester.
No, I'm the traitor.
You are. I'm just looking up here. Wayne went 2-0 to Leicester. Jim will hate the fact that we've gone for both of those, although I think he might be above me now.
He did really well.
Josh, who does the prediction league with me, has gone 2-1. Jesse, Brad's girlfriend, went 2-0. Craig went 4-1 to Leicester.
Well,
now,
the thing is, we need to kind of get that.
What you did, he needs the point.
Absolutely. Like I went for 4-1 to Southampton last week, and it was 1-1. But yeah.
Nate, who is top of the league and who won it last season, has gone 2-1. Katie's gone 1-0. Brad's gone 3-0. These are all to Leicester.
I'm the only one about Wrexham.
Yeah, Jack's gone 2-0. Jeff has gone 2-0. Mark has gone 5-0. Bloody hell, Mark. I know you've gone on holiday, but I think the sun's got to you. John has gone 2-1. And Shane 2-0, Dan 2-0. There's a lot of 2-0s in there.
It's a low-scoring division, isn't it, Chris? It's a low-scoring division, you know.
The other Tom went 3-1. Michael went 1-0, and Locks went 2-1 as well. Oh, you're on your own there, mate.
Yeah, intentionally, like I say, Chris, it's a play. I mean, everyone's going to hate me later on if we end up losing this one. But the scary thing is, this is the championship. We lost to
everybody.
Preston, didn't we? We lost to Preston.
Yes, yeah. Oh no! It could happen. But everybody, follow him on Twitter, and if we do lose, give him give him hell. I don't think Wrexham have scored a goal versus Leicester since the 70s. Look, I tell you what, we haven't played them. Like you said, we haven't played them since the 80s, so let's not read too much into that. Right, but you think we should actually change formation. Now, look, like I said earlier at the start, very quickly, do you remember Enzo, like I said to the Chelsea fan, he doesn't have a plan B. His plan B was just taking a square peg out and putting us another different square peg in. This guy does have a plan B, and he has played this in some of his plan Bs. It does tend to be more of a plan B than a plan A. He's never started with this, but like I say, he has finished with this sort of. So it isn't out the realms of possibility. And you sent me this through first, and the only reason I said, can you do a 4-2-3-1 is because I'd say you won't tomorrow, but 99% of the time that's what he calls it. Talk me through this one, because interestingly, the goalkeeper's still there. You brought a Coley back. You've got Piera as that right wing back, which
it's where I contradict myself a bit here, but I will explain. Yeah,
but I know what you're like for wanting him in the midfield. You got James and Winks who can drop back, I guess. Thomas, I think if you're going to play this one, I think it's more of a Christian role. Ayo, you've still got him there behind the two. You got Carranza up top alongside Fatawu. I was going to say to you, Tom, talk me through it.
Yeah, well, it's not entirely in the right shape because Thomas and Ricardo would be sat slightly deeper than the midfield two of Winks and James, and A would be slightly forward, right? And Fatawu really is kind of playing as a secondary striker, except he's more of a free role, perhaps, which is what we like to see him do. So it is a bit square pegging and round holey, which is why we probably can't really play this formation too much because, like I say, we'd have to go for Ricardo and Thomas or Ricardo and Christensen because you couldn't put Mavrodidi or Fatawu there because they haven't got the tackling ability to provide that part of the game, right? Which would probably leave us a little bit exposed in our whip. So I would say this would probably be the better way to counteract them is by matching up against them, because I think when they've got three at the back, having one guy who's literally going to be Carranza against their central defense, their main centre back, can prove difficult because they can get marked out quite well. So I wouldn't mind going with the two where you get into the gaps between the three defenders, and then I'd actually say at half time, maybe one we actually might get Daka on to go alongside Carranza because Carranza could do the complete forward role and then feed in Daka in a way which suits his playing style. I know Daka's not the most popular player, but if you play in a way where he's going to be on the last man and poaching and we play to that strength, I think he's still got something to offer for us. He looked very happy when he scored the other night, didn't he? So
if you look at that picture, the one that didn't look happy was Bobby Takova-Reid, probably because he knew that it had gone in off somebody. But that phase was like unbelievable. And Daka, and I used that picture, and I thought fair play to them both, Unfortunately, with the 3-5-2, this was the formation it gave me. I've not learned if I can move them on here or not. But
no, I just wanted to make that clear because I wouldn't have Thomas and Ricardo that high up the pitch. You see what I mean? But it makes me go in January. We need to get another right wing back because I just think if Ricardo does get an injury, there's no one we can put into that role. Particularly, maybe Aluko. I mean, Aluko has looked like he can do it, but is he going to be similar to Nelson? He comes up and it's a bit nosebleedy for him at this stage in his career.
What we didn't do is we actually signed a right winger that could, or a right back that could have probably played that role and looked like he could.
Gone out on loan, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. That's what I was going to say. But I do feel like we could. Michael says 3-5-2 for Leicester would be a nightmare for Wrexham. Everything generated out wide.
Absolutely.
Look, at the end of the day, like I say, we know he's not adverse to this.
No.
So maybe he could look at starting this, and I've put their alternative lineup. I do know what you mean, though. AU's a bit more forward. Look, I've said with Fatawu, and the interesting thing is here, you've dropped Mavrodidi. Sorry, I'll just talk to you about that. You've dropped Mavrodidi here.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, because I don't think Mavrodidi in this system would actually prove that effective. He's like Daka then in that situation. He's someone I'd profile that could come on into this system to bring some energy, which would be quite helpful later on. But just to go back to what you said briefly before, Chris, I actually would maybe start with the other formation and see how it's going, and hope the quality of Fatu and Mavrodidi could make the difference in those gaps. If it doesn't, then I would switch to this, and I think Marti will switch to something like this at half time if it's not working, because he'll have to, and he's done it before. We have to go 2 up top if we're not going to get through him. We have to find a way to go 2 up top.
Because that was the thing against West Brom, wasn't it? We weren't getting through them.
No, exactly.
Teams will defend against us. Isn't it nice to actually be talking about a plan B?
Absolutely, and knowing Marti will actually do it. How many times, because we've been doing watch-alongs recently, me and you have a great half-time analysis, and please join us tonight, guys, for the watch-along, because we have some great half. We've been calling it a lot of the time recently, and it's nice, because against Rude we call it, and he wouldn't do anything. He's standing with his hands in his pockets looking sad. But Marti would generally follows a similar thought process to what we're coming from, and we're getting results from it, which is exciting for us, right?
It is totally. And it's just a pleasure. It's just a pleasure. You're asking me the weather.
Oh, it's a good question. Yeah, it's a very good question.
What traffic and travel as well? Let me. I'm just going to type it in.
I imagine the traffic would be bad tonight. Yeah, so get there early, guys. You want to get down there. We've all been to the King Power and know what the traffic's like around it.
I'm just going to put Wrexham. I don't know. It's given me a few places in Wrexham. God knows.
We're at home, aren't we, Chris? We're at home.
Oh God, we are, aren't we? We are.
Which also leans into Marti wouldn't start this formation, because you talk about Marti has used this formation. This is the sort of formation as a manager you kind of, for some reason, would use if you felt you were a bit more inadequate to the opposition normally, which with all due respect to Wrexham is why they're probably doing it. Like Charlton do this, Preston do this, because you could argue they don't feel they got the quality, but the system works well for them, right? Because that thing about the Championship we talked about last night is interesting. The amount of chances being converted is somewhere around 10% on average throughout the league, which isn't very much, is it? So what these teams have done to counteract it is by going 2 up top, knowing the majority of teams go 1 up top, and that's why they're doing so well, being 7th for Charlton and 6th for Preston right now, right?
Right, let me just it's going to be, what time is kick-off? 7:45. Cloudy.
Yeah,
that's it. So no rain. Obviously, it's a night game. I love night games. Obviously, it's a night game, so there's going to be no sunshine. So you're interested. Your pollution level today is low, and your UV rating is medium. Let me go into full disc jockey mode here. I feel like I'm doing a Saturday morning radio show.
I'm quite ginger, so I need to get the suntan lotion on.
Yeah. And you've got a high today. Today will be sunny intervals with light winds, a high of 17 degrees and a low of 8 degrees tonight. In fact, I can tell you tonight will remain dry with patchy cloud and clear spells for a time. However, thick cloud is expected to build up in front from the west in the early hours. It will stay generally dry. There you go, Michael. Full DJ mode for you. You got my full traffic report from the weekend breakfast show I do. And if anybody wants to listen to that, by the way, Dorset Riviera Radio. That's where I live. So, Paul says, not a bad lineup by Tom. More attacking intensity in this lineup.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be adverse to seeing that. I would have it slightly different to you.
Yeah, please explain. I wanted to see what you felt about this, Chris. Because you could go 4-2-4, for example, but Derby tried this and only drew against them and nearly lost. So, I don't know.
I mean, you are talking to a 4-4-2 aficionado here, but that's never going to get played, is it? I
don't think we've got the quality in midfield to pull off a 4-4-2. That's my worry. In the centre mid, if we had Sumari, it wouldn't work. We've got to have 5.
See, I would, again, I don't know whether I'd start with a Coley.
Yeah, fair enough.
And this is going to be controversial, so I would put Thomason there.
Oh, see, I don't like doing that.
The reason because he has done that once for us.
Yeah.
And he didn't do bad.
But that's like putting JJ in the wrong position, which you got really funny about. Because JJ they've done it for as well. It never worked.
He did all right last time. So I'm going to move Thomas to a Coley's position. In Thomas's position, I'm going to put I'd probably go. Christensen would possibly be a starter, but also I think you could do Mavididi there as well.
Don't forget that's the side they're dangerous with Kabore, who's their Frimpong.
Yes, which is probably why out of the two, I would start with Christensen there. And I think that's more of his role. He does get further forward than Thomas, and if you're playing Thomas where you've got him, I think he'll just be dropping back into his natural kind of defensive role. Piera, yeah, I agree. You've got Winks and James just back a little bit, so I agree with that. AU forward just a little bit, not for me. Again, either Louis Page or do you know what? I'm going to be controversial here, even possibly Mavididi there. Because
Bobby Cordova Reed.
No, let's not get silly.
Yeah, maybe not, but
no, I get what you're saying. He's not a central player, Dakova Reed. He just tends to drift out. He is more of a winger. He just tends to drift out that. I've said right from the start, and I do like, the only problem with that is that would Mavididi get in Fataru's way, because I think that you've got any of the three that we've got wingers, including Monga, just give them a free role. Just say, go and sit in that middle role there and cause havoc.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do that, Chris, I'd put Mavididi where Fatu is and Fatu where AU is. Do you know what I mean? I think that would work.
Okay, let me go a little bit controversial again.
Yeah.
Because I would bring Fatu down to where AU is.
Yeah. Okay.
Possibly.
I mean, Monga would be ideal for that. Monga would be better, actually, because Fatu's better out wide, in my opinion. But I get you can do it, yeah.
Yeah. But I think if you put any of those three, you're just saying, just look, go where you want to go. Because, if they think you're going to be here and you're suddenly over there, and I'd actually have probably Monga in that Fatu role.
Interesting, yeah. I mean, he's technically got the ability to do it, hasn't he? I'd agree with that.
He has, and if you're playing him that far up front, all right, you've always got to counteract. Well, what do we lose on the wing when we want to bring a winger on? Well, then maybe move him back into that role. And when you make your changes. But I think Monga. I mean, I just think he's got penalty written all over him. And look, I know he dived, and he wasn't even in the same week when he dived at the weekend. But even if he's not diving, when he's trying to get past players doing all that, he's going to get taken out, and we are going to get lots of penalties with that. So
yeah, exactly. When Mahrez in that Premier League season, we actually had probably 10 penalties not given that should have been given because they couldn't give any more. Because every time he went in the box, he was unplayable, wasn't he? And Monga has got that similar profile, 100%.
Exactly. So I see where you're coming to with this. I wouldn't mind it. Those are the changes I would make. But I would, like I say, start with the other.
And I wouldn't be against Daka being in the top two in this either. But then I want to get Fatu in there, really, don't you? Somehow, but it is square peggy a little bit, which is the downside to these things, isn't it?
Indeed, yeah. But we've never tried it, and this is the thing. Well, we've not tried it from the start. We don't know whether they try these things on the training ground or not. But look, here we go. So, oh my God, you've changed, Tom.
Age is a horrible thing, Chris.
It is. Maybe you just need to wax around the mouth a little bit. I'm just saying that there, Kate. But no. Thank you very much for coming on. It was very last minute last night, so I really do appreciate it. I hope you didn't have to bolt your Burger King down too much.
No, it's fine, mate. My stomach's in good nick somehow. It was one of those where it was the right decision at the time, but I've regretted it, I think, a little bit.
Oh, well, I hope you weren't rushing it down. Michael's, by the way, just to end on, has gone 2-1 to Leicester tonight. Guys, do click the like button. It really does help the channel. The algorithms, I think, with YouTube are all a bit messed up at the moment. So the more clicks we get, the better. Subscribe if you're new. Share if you know anybody who's a Leicester fan and not been watching this. Share it to them as well. And if you're doing that, you can do exactly the same if you're watching on catch up. And if you've been listening via your favourite podcast platform, thank you very much for that. 7 o'clock. Us two will be back. You can't get rid of us. I see you more than I used to see my wife. And I've got to say, you're better looking. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
What does that say about your kids, mate? Jesus.
She's an ex, so I can get away with this, you know. But thanks very much, Tom. I'll see you at 7 tonight. I'm going to go off and get something to eat now. You've been brilliant. Thanks very much, mate.
My pleasure.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Michael. Yeah, that makes it nice. Thank you very, very much. Like, subscribe, share those. Go and do it now.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.